Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards of Football. I'd like to give special thanks to my producer, the very talented Mr. Jeremiah Long. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And today's video is on Dante Waters, cornerback, San Diego Chargers, by way of the University of Arkansas. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. One of the greatest things that I really like to do, I always like to reminisce and talk about the history of this game, which is football, from a college level to a pro level. And one of the greatest jewels of my life I was able to attend the University of Arkansas from 1978 to 1982. And in 1980, as I want to say, a 19-year-old kid, I wanted to see could I play football. So I walked on at the University of Arkansas, made it through spring practice, but I was cut almost 2 months before the season started in 1980. But I went through that spring practice in 1980, and you sit back and you watch all the great players that you've been following on TV and you've been looking in the papers. And during that time, Arkansas had some pretty good football players. Two of them who went on and played with the San Diego Chargers, who were first-round draft picks, Billy Ray Smith and Mr. Gary Anderson. But when I went through that spring practice, there was one guy that just, even to this day, he was a very, very special football player. And he wasn't even playing the cornerback position. He was playing the running back position. He was out of Julian High School out of Chicago, and they produced some great football players. Harold Griffin, who went on and played at the University of Illinois, won a Super Bowl ring with the Denver Broncos. And I kept looking at this young man, me and some other guys, I want to say walk-ons, because I was a walk-on at the time. And we kept saying, here's a guy who's running fourth team as a running back. But, man, he's running for almost 100 yards on the first team. First team defense. And the people who's part of that first team defense back during that time at the University of Arkansas, as I said, Billy Ray Smith, Teddy Morris, who was all Southwest Conference linebacker, Kevin Evans, who was all Southwest Conference free safety. These first team guys, right? But Danny Waters, every time we had a scrimmage, this guy was running for 100 yards. And he was a guy that hit the hole so special, so beautiful. I'm talking about he had that skill set, or maybe a 22 set during that time. He had the skill set of a Barry Sanders. He was about 6', 190 pounds. And another good thing about him, the guy looked just like Billy D. Williams, man. And everybody was saying, not only is he a hell of a football player, but he was a very handsome guy. And I said, Dad, I hope that he get a chance to play running back or get some way find his way on the field. Well, you know what? He stayed as a backup at the running back position, rarely got any time. Going into my senior year as a student at the University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks decided to move him to cornerback. And boy, did he flaunt in his 2 years as a starter in 81 and 82. 7 interceptions in his college career, 2 touchdowns, and that's one play that really showed me that I was not thinking crazy, him probably being the best player on that football team pound for pound in 1981 that had Gary Anderson and Billy Ray Smith. It was in that Ole Miss game, third game of the year. 1981, Ole Miss came in that football game undefeated. Arkansas was undefeated. They played in Jackson, Mississippi. It was a nice night game. And I remember that Ole Miss team because that Ole Miss team had got out of the gates real well. They had John Forquet at quarterback. We all know about him, one of the highest rated quarterbacks ever to come out of high school in 1978, the same year I did. They had Andre Townsend that played in the National Football League. They had Buford McGee that played in the Football League. And they had my homeboy from the 901, Orange Mound's finest, Super Bowl champion Barry Wilburn, who was a starter at the safety position as a true freshman. And Danny Walters made the play of the game. You could go back and look up it on YouTube. He made that great interception. I want to say at the 11-yard line, as Ole Miss was driving to take the lead in that football game, and took that thing 89 yards for a touchdown. And seeing him go down that right sideline and that Arkansas bench coming unglued, I said to myself, I told y'all they was the best player on the field. Then going back into his senior year, I had left school, graduated. In 1982, he made a play against the University of Houston on national television in the Astrodome where he took an interception 90 yards. And I said, you know what? I'll be very surprised that he don't make an impact when he get to the National Football League. Well, in the greatest draft ever, in the 1983 draft, he was taken in the 5th round by the San Diego Chargers. And that year they had drafted Gary Anderson in the 1st round and Billy Ray Smith, who was his teammates. Going through training camp, Dan Fouts said this: I've seen a lot of football players come into this league, but I've never seen a rookie like Danny Walters come in as a 5th round pick. And you know what happened? He ended up starting his rookie season. Had an outstanding NFL career. We had 12 interceptions in his 6-year career. But most of all, he became a starter as a 5th round pick. And think about who was on that San Diego Chargers team. And San Diego was rocking at that time. They had Dan Fouts. They had James Brooks. They had Chuck Muncie. They had Wes Chandler. They had Bobby Duckworth. They had the legend at the tight end position, Keller Winslow Sr. They had Gary Big Hands Johnson from Grambling. Gil Bird, who was the other starter, a rookie out of San Diego State. And Danny Walters, a 5th round pick, had earned his stripes in training camp and became a starter. Man, when you talk about a skill set as a gentleman, as a corner, and as a running back, his instincts were off the charts, A+. His quick reaction was off the charts, A+. His explosion, not only as a running back, but as a cornerback, A+. The lateral movement he had at playing corner, A+. Hands, ball skills as a cornerback, A+. Tackling ability, A+. He had another gear, man, playing the position cornerback, A+. The balance and strength to stay on his toes, A+. The closing quickness as a cornerback, A+. Ball awareness, A+. Man-to-man coverage. It was nobody that I seen up close and personal than Danny Walters playing the cornerback position in that 81 season at the University of Arkansas. And then the vision he had as a running back, going back to that spring practice I went through in 1980 as a walk-on to the University of Arkansas. He had better vision than I ever seen in running back. I'm talking about Hall of Fame type status. I'm going to tell you, man, I'll be 64 years old on July 17th, and it's coming up next month. And I've been able and been blessed to watch a lot of football players in my years. But going back and reminiscing and looking back in my memory bank, I have to say Danny Walters, up close and personal, maybe in the top 5 I've seen players play on the gridiron. This guy was an outstanding football player, man. One of the best I ever seen do it. And I hope one day before I go to glory that Mr. Danny Walters comes by 100 yards of football if he's on social media, or some University of former Arkansas people are able to contact him and say, this gentleman, Vincent Turner, did a video on you, Mr. Danny Walters, and he gave you your flowers. Pig Suey. Ooh, Pig Suey Razorbacks. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate hearing 100 yards of football. Special thanks to my producer, the very talented Mr. Jeremiah Long. I've been your host this morning, Mr. Vincent Turner.